Oh, another question from Pamela. What are some things you debrief with yourself after a high intense performance or audition? What should one focus on to get better for the next round or the next one?
So we did. So what does it say after a casting or after a
Yeah,
performance?
any performance, casting, basically what process do you go through for self-reflection after these things? What should you focus on to
So
improve for the next one, and what should you let go?
I think my answer is going to be a bit funny because I know that in the United States you have another way of doing, because I worked with a dancer who came who he worked in Las Vegas on this show. I don't, what was it? Cirque du Soleil. He worked there, and then he came back to be a dancer on one of my shows. And after his show, he came to me with the and he said, "Can I have my approval or my, I don't know what it was called, but basically he wanted his feedback and his
Yeah,
points, something like this." And
yeah,
I was just like,
feedback. Yeah,
"Eh?" And I was like, what do you mean? The show is over. It's cool, great, you. And he was like, oh, and then he explained that you have this system of feedback and looking back, and even when you're on a show that you actually get in Cirque du Soleil, that's what they do. They get a feedback every day, and if they have so many bad performances, then they're off for a week and they have to come back and we don't work like that. I mean, and I especially, I'm one of these rebel girls, so I never look back. I never look back. I work with my gut feeling. I work with my heart. I give everything I have, and I think the only thing that I can look back to if sorry, is if I felt uncomfortable, because my voice I know. Maybe I can be uncomfortable because I didn't put enough time into learning the song. That is one of the things. Maybe I could feel uncomfortable because if I had to do a little monologue, what do you call that, Philip? A monologue? If I had to do a little speech or a description of acting, then maybe I didn't know that well enough. Maybe I can look back and say, I didn't feel nice in my clothes because I put on some weight, or so if the feeling inside of me and my heart is wrong, then I know it's wrong, and the only thing I can do better is to look at how I can feel better with myself. But my voice is trained that way, and that is without being trained, because I work like that. I sing every day. I had stage performance every day. I never had singing lessons. I never worked my voice. I just came very fast to a level where singing is easier than speaking. I came to a level where I learned my songs while driving to the gig, because the client just called me and said, oh, I need you to sing this. I was like, okay, up. In the radio, or in that days it was a cassette player, cling, the text on paper over here while driving. It's very bad manners I'm telling you about. That was the old days. And and you would learn a song while getting to the gig. So no, I never look back. I never look back if it felt good. If it felt good, then I'm good. I would never go back and watch and say, "Oh, did my musicians?" No,
yeah,
it's a feeling, because singing is a job. Singing is not about me. Singing is not about how me, Dida, I feel on stage. Singing is about me just feeling good and delivering to you. Singing is about singing because I have to. Singing is about transferring things to you, making you feel better, making you. It's a bit like being a photo model. You just you voila, you got the job. Now you deliver, right? So they can put clothes on you. They can put this. I mean, you don't cancel a gig. If you're on, you don't cancel. You go to the gig. If you're sick, you run to the toilet between the songs, but you're on. So no, I will not go and look back. But I will go and look back if something went wrong. I will go and look back if I felt wrong,
hmm,
because if I start feeling something on stage, that means I'm not prepared, or that me and the client, we didn't agree on what he really wanted. But this happens very rarely, but maybe because I'm lucky and I just say yes to everything, so I do it all the time. But I would definitely, the advice I can say is, if it feels good, leave it there and go on.
hmm.
If it feels wrong, Then have a little chat with yourself. Sit up. Don't ask the opinion of anyone. Ask your
Yeah,
own
and
heart.
I understand where you're coming from, and that it's true. If the, people say don't ask the opinion, if you feel good about what you did, don't ask
Don't.
for opinions.
No.
I mean, because
And even if it
everybody
went
has,
wrong, don't ask because you know it went wrong.
you
So
know, it
don't go
went
and hit
wrong.
yourself in the head. Yeah.
You need to learn who to ask, and I've made this mistake a lot, but basically as soon as you ask for an opinion, you're going to get answers, whether they're qualified or not, and those are again just opinions. So yeah, I speak with my clients about this as well. They go through a lot of different auditions, and the criteria I learned from myself is very similar to what Dida says. If you've prepared well, your job in any casting or audition is to represent yourself in a way you feel good about how you represented yourself. If you feel you went in and you gave a good representation of yourself, be satisfied. That was the best you could do on that day and you felt great about it. That's all you have to do. And if you keep going and representing yourself well, where you're feeling good about it, guess what's going to happen? It is a numbers game. You
You
just got
are
to
your
go to
own
enough.
business.
Yeah, you go to enough castings and you represent yourself well, you will be getting hired. And also, we've both been on the casting side, and I can tell you, I remember the people that came in and did a wonderful audition, and I remember trying very hard, many times, trying to give them a job. But I couldn't because they didn't fit in what that production needed. But I will always remember those people for the future, and they will always be in my
Yeah.
mind. So the next
And
time that
can be
person comes,
recasted for the next one.
yeah, next time they come across the stage, I'm like, oh, I want, I can't wait to hear them sing again. So it's always about representing yourself well and knowing that when you do that, you leave a good impression.
Yeah.
Whether that person can use you that day or in the future, your job is to just go and leave as many good impressions as possible. But let's say you're on the path of, I want to improve. I want to keep pushing my level higher and higher. So what do you do? What process do you go through? The first thing is that I always say, I think it's just positive and it's healthy. It's just, did I represent myself well? Great. And then this moment I felt a little bit awkward. That phrase wasn't my best. How do I respond to these kinds of questions? Those are things that where you can identify yourself and say, okay, I can work on those things. I can prepare myself technically better. I can do that. Or, oh, I realized today, actually, I was just wearing the wrong thing. Sometimes it's that simple. You need to, when you go into castings, you need to put the image of you in that role in their mind, right?
Yeah.
That's really important. I mean, we give these casting directors so much credit for they're in the entertainment business. They should understand costumes and wigs and makeup possibilities. They don't. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, they don't. I've walked into certain auditions. Disney's famous for this, but I've walked into Disney auditions. 30 seconds later, I walked out because I walked in and I heard the casting director say, no, he's not the right type. Well, if a Disney casting director says you're not the right type, you can do everything in that audition. They're not going to use you.
Nope.
It's so some things are just down to type, and that you can't take personally. If they've got something else in mind, that's what they have in mind. But just go through the process. If you want to continue pushing your ability level, then you go through that process. Do some self-evaluation, but keep it positive. Don't beat yourself up. Just say, okay, I felt like this. I felt like I was dressed appropriately. I felt like I connected appropriately. I felt like I was clear in announcing myself, presenting my work. I felt like I represented myself to the best of my ability. Great. This phrase didn't work as well as I would have liked it to. Then you can write that down. That's something you can obviously work on your technique. I didn't feel like I was connected emotionally as well as I wanted to. Okay, write that down. That's something you can work on. I didn't feel like I communicated well with the accompanist. That's something you can work on. There's little things you can work on always. And some of them are skills, but I think the main thing you want to always do is represent yourself as best as possible. The
Yeah.
rest is really out of your hands. Like I
But
tried to explain, I've wanted to cast great people so many times, and I couldn't because they didn't fit the needs of that production.
yeah,
And sometimes you're limited in your casting. You get to the casting as a director, a choreographer, and the producer says, you can cast these roles. These roles I've already cast. You don't have a choice. So just know that leaving a good impression goes a long way. You're just going to go around leaving good impressions, and you will find people that really want to work with you.
yeah. I just think it's important that you sing enough, that you sing enough that you don't come and, I mean, you should not, you should get that far in singing that you do not need to reevaluate your singing. Because once your motor works, it works. And if you have worked enough, worked for me does not need sitting down and rehearsing or doing scales. It just means that singing has to be part of your life, and you have to just sing all the time. If you sing all the time, you will know where all the right positions are. You will be able to wake up, and I mean, I have people sometimes wanting a coaching in 6 o'clock in the morning because they want to go before, and my voice, you can have a little bit of this and that, but I am still able to perform 100% at 6 o'clock in the morning. And you have to be ready for that because you have all the radio shows here in Europe. You have to be there at 4 or 5 in the morning. So you have to be able. So it's not about, I mean, if you're in there, then you just need to sing all the time, all the hits. If you're in the jazz, do all the jazz songs. Again, sing, 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 sing. But sing because you enjoy it. Because that should be the only thing that you should not doubt of. You can doubt of feeling awkward. You can doubt of people looking at you. I mean, I can give you one advice, but it's not about reevaluating. It's about how I can get over being scared in a casting, because I have realized that the worst thing for me is when I want to please. When I want to please, when I get in that mode where I want people to like me because I want the role, then I lose. And I lose not only the role or the casting, but I also lose my whole confidence in myself. And I have it though, but I lose it totally there because I put myself in a victim role. In a role like, oh, I really want them to like me, then it doesn't work. So I have found my trigger, so it's about finding your own. My trigger is find a position in my mind where I help people. So I go there with the idea of me suggesting to help them find what they're looking for. And in that way, I'm in a delivering role. And this actually really works for me because my life is about helping people in all kinds of ways. So if I feel that on stage I'm helping, that's why I'm good on stage when it's a party or there's a public, because I want to help people have a fantastic evening, or I want to help people have a good wedding, or I want to help people having a fun party. But when I'm in a casting, I don't help anyone. I have people looking at me, judging me. So that is just horrible. So if I go in there with a mindset saying, I go there to help you find the right roles, then it works much better. Just a little tip from the blonde.